So for me, I will just look at the new plan, because both have given us a good grounding in the background, the work that's been done, why we work together, and how that links in with the 5 national outcomes for children and young people. So when we were looking at developing our new plan, we obviously linked in with a lot of our members. We reviewed the work we had done in the previous 3 years, 2018 to 2020. We gathered up-to-date information. We consulted a wide range of people, children, young people, parents, or partner agencies across the county. But we also enlisted some other research from NUIG, for example, who run a wonderful piece of research every so often around health behaviours of school-going children. They kindly drew off a short report for Donegal. So in that way, we were hearing the voice of I think it was 2,000 children of different ages who are school-going in Donegal. So across the board, we have endeavoured to be as inclusive in the process as we can. So we'll look at the priorities today from the new plan, and I'll also be able to mention some of the activities that we have already implemented in 2021, which was the first year of that plan. So just to remind you, this is the structure of CYPSC. This is how we are governed. This is our governance structure. And you can see across the middle line the 5 national outcomes for children and young people. In Donegal CYPSC, we have a corresponding subcommittee to each national outcome. Each subcommittee has 1, 2, some of them have 3 working groups that are working on specific pieces of work where their expertise is most appropriate. So there are 7 subcommittees now in Donegal CYPSC, and that has grown over time to include our Parent Hub Committee and the newest one being the Youth Participation Subcommittee. So our plan is made up of a number of elements. We have the introduction to the plan. That goes through our achievements. Now there are copies of the hard copies of the plan available in the foyer, so if you want to take one with you, you're very welcome. There's also a summary document that gives you the highlights and the key priorities going forward. A socio-demographic profile was developed in the county to look at where we are at in numbers, where people are, and what categories of need there exists around that. We then conducted an overview of the services available to children and young people in the county, and that is also included in the plan, and it's quite comprehensive. From those, we drew up a local needs analysis. Now, the priorities that we come to in the end were identified following that local needs analysis. That was based on our socio-demographic profile, the audit of services, and consultation with young people, consultation with parents, and consultation with you, our partner agencies. The thing about this plan, and it has been heightened and it has been given more focus as a result of COVID, is that our CYPSC plan 2021 to 2023 is a live plan. It's a responsive plan, and it responds to emerging needs and emerging opportunities. So both challenges and opportunities that we see affecting our community, we do our best to engage with and find ways to address. So obviously, all of the actions in the plan will continue to be implemented in a way that responds to our COVID-19 pandemic as we now emerge from that. So things will be changing bit by bit, and we will be becoming more outward focused, and I hope many more events like this will take place. So under each priority area, we have a subcommittee. Each subcommittee has a number of priority areas. So we start with National Outcome 1. The 3 priorities in Donegal going forward are that we would support integrated and holistic health and well-being initiatives. Now, that's a very broad statement. But in that statement, you could, for example, see work with young carers, work with LGBTIQ+ young people with disabilities, young people with any challenges. But this work is also universal, so it isn't just about particular target groups. The second priority is that we would facilitate our interagency collaboration in relation to mental health service development and delivery. And in year 1 of our plan, we have developed a working group with 3 lead agencies in the county who are specifically focused on youth mental health. And they are Jigsaw, HSC Connecting for Life, and the Our Generation Project. And together they link in and connect with each other so that we can make best use of the resources they bring to youth mental health for Donegal. Finally, the final priority for health and well-being is the promoting and supporting of inclusion and diversity in services and in communities. And that covers everything. In the last year, we have built strong connections and working relationship with the IPAS Centre in Letterkenny. A great number of local services have connected very directly with the children and families in the centre, and that work is ongoing. For example, last summer, we had a wonderful summer programme that was funded by MACE, and a lot of the coordination was done by the MACE project staff. And that made a real difference because some of those children and young people had only just arrived in Donegal, and it helped connect them in with the local services who took part in implementing that summer scheme. So it's like a big puzzle, a big jigsaw, and we're trying to put all the pieces together. So moving on, education and learning. Education and learning is a long-standing and very valued subcommittee in Donegal. Some of the members of this committee, well, are around CYPSC a lot longer than I am. So they go way back to the Children's Services Committee. The first priority is supporting an inclusive approach to the development of children and young people. Again, a very broad statement, but that allows us to be flexible. It allows us to respond to the needs as we see them occurring. Collaborating to improve educational attainment and participation of children and young people with a focus on the vulnerable and those from ethnic minorities. To give one example, there is a beautiful nursery rhyme and action song book which was developed a number of years ago. It is, I think it's in 8 or 9 languages. So it is a multilingual nursery rhyme and action song book. And when you get a group of young children together, they can sing those songs together. And it doesn't matter to them whether it's Irish, English, Polish, or Hindi. They are together and they are in a group and they are happy singing together. So I find that is part of the spirit of CYPSC. Finally, promoting and supporting the arts and cultural programs to enhance learning in schools, homes, and the community. I mention this one specifically because this was a direct ask from young people in County Donegal. They asked CYPSC during our consultation process, would we or could we include more cultural activities across the board? We are delighted to be able to link in so strongly with Creative Ireland around that, and in particular with our own library service, who do fantastic work in this area. So that's going to be an ongoing relationship that can improve that piece around creativity. Later on this morning, you will also hear from our chair of the Education and Learning Subcommittee, Martin Gallen. He and his colleague Lynn Bouvard will be presenting one of the actions in our new plan around school retention. So that's coming up later. Our Safe and Secure Subcommittee. This is always a very busy group. They are so motivated. They have, this is where the domestic abuse working group is housed. And they're a very active group. They're usually way ahead on thinking of their next project before we complete the one they're on. So they will also today be presenting the Donegal Domestic Abuse Resource Pack. They're already working on their next project. This group looks to address the needs of children and young people experiencing domestic violence in the home. This work will continue. I'd imagine it could continue into our following plan. Supporting children and young people to understand what it means to feel safe and develop skills accordingly. Again, a very broad priority. And finally, building resilience in children and young people. This one takes in lots of pieces of work and lots of training that is ongoing. It's also very broad. We have done a lot of work with, for example, the MACE project over the last year around this, but also in programs look, say, sing, play with very young children. There's lots of other pieces of work that are going on that link in under this priority. Economic well-being. This committee has a tough job. This is a very hard area to approach for CYPSCs. We don't have a huge amount of money, so this one is always challenging. But the committee involved are valiant. They keep going and they keep dealing with it as they see fit. One of their priorities is promoting equality and opportunity to further education and training. And it was this subcommittee who, it's now 2019, prior to COVID, hosted our first training and lifestyles fair for children and young people with a disability or additional needs. This we intended to be an annual event, and then COVID happened. So it has not been an annual event. But when things right themselves and it becomes safe to do so, we will continue that work. And I see Wendy McGarry is here today. She will be telling you some of their work around disability. But Wendy is one of the key forces behind this work. And it's great that we work together so well. This group also looks at tackling economic disadvantage. During COVID, we found, and people came and talked about it and told us, families were telling them of their distress around reduced incomes, around work no longer being available, and the impact it was having on their homes. So working with Lifestart Services, we developed the Fund for Families. That started with a small contribution from CYPSC of 5,000, but bit by bit, that levered a lot of money from TUSLA, from the local community, from businesses, and again now in 2021, we received another 10,000 additional funding from the department to keep that fund going because of the increase in energy prices. So those are really tangible things CYPSC is trying to do to deal with the most basic need, poverty. Unfortunately, we still need to keep an eye on poverty in Donegal. It's still there, but we will do our best to make a difference. And finally, again, promoting inclusion and diversity. This one, I'll just say, you're probably getting it already, but right through the CYPSC plan, our new plan, we have inclusion and diversity across the board. New communities, refugees, asylum seekers, young people with disabilities, young people who feel different in any way, basically. We are striving to bring them together and hold them and nurture them. Youth participation. This is our newest subcommittee. It was established very slowly through 2021. We had the support of Dr. Celia Keenahan, who came and helped us with our workshops with young people. The design, the terms of reference, the function of this committee and how we work on it day to day has been developed according to the wishes of the young people who were involved in those workshops. Those young people were drawn from the fantastic Donegal Youth Council and the youth advocates from Jigsaw. It is our intent that over time, young people from a wider range of agencies and supported by a wider range of agencies will also join that youth participation subcommittee. And we hope to support agencies to get involved. Aideen, who is Aideen Nikonluda, and I probably pronounce her name wrong, so my apologies. Aideen is our joint chair. She is also our young adult rep to the main CYPSC committee, and she is co-chair with Martin Keeney from PPFS, who provides great guidance and support to her before and after meetings. She's also supported by Feroiga, by Michael McDavid, as she is linked with the Donegal Youth Council. So there's lots of agencies willing to support and help, and we are very, very grateful for their input. Finally, building socially inclusive communities is a thread that runs through everything we do, and we hope that working with young people, we will be able to progress that further. The Parents Hub really speaks for itself. This is a wonderful group who came together long before my time with CYPSC. They have kept going valiantly ever since. The Parent Hub website, which you will hear about today, is now in its next generation. It has been upgraded, and with consultation with parents, what information do they need, how would they like it presented, so parents have had a great say in what this has become. At the break time, we will have people demonstrate it for you when we have our coffee break. So the Parent Hub is about supporting parenting supports and training across the county, and they do a wonderful job of that, and to ensure an active parenting focus in the implementation of the Children and Young People's Plan. And I can guarantee they're doing a very good job of that because they're keeping us on our toes. Finally, we have change management. This group really are made up of the chairs of all other subcommittees. They come together and they look at things like how our money is spent, how we work with Healthy Ireland, what our priorities are for that funding, but they also ensure that we keep a finger on interagency training initiatives where we need that across Donegal. They ensure that we are aligned with other local plans, for example, a local authority, local economic community plan, and they look at that efficient use of funding and resources. This is my final slide, you'll be glad to know. While I have the opportunity, I would just like to thank people who were very involved in developing this new plan. Chiefly the children who were supported by Donegal County Childcare Committee to do so, the young people who were supported by lots of agencies, Foróige, Donegal Youth Service, PPFS, all of those who work with young people on a regular basis. We'd like to thank the parents who got involved. Parent Hub was a big part of that as well. Our service providers and the members of all 7 subcommittees. They participated in the consultation activities, they made submissions, they gathered information for us, they gave feedback, and they contributed in so many ways. Donegal Youth Council, for example, supported by Sean Ahoy and Maura Gallagher of Foróige, they helped us develop our survey for young people, our questionnaire, what we were asking and how we were asking it. They helped us pilot it, they contributed to it, and they attended every single one of our consultation workshops. I'd like to mention especially Loretta McNichols, who at that time was the senior researcher for Donegal County Council. She is an amazing woman with an amazing ability to extract information from documents and the CSO. She is an absolute whiz and gave us a great deal of her time and support. I'd like to thank Trish McLaughlin from the Donegal County Childcare Committee, who linked in with the childcare services around the county, and even though it was in the middle of COVID and very hard to connect with people, still got a number of parents to work with their children to ask the very young children, what would you like to see? What are you happy about in your area and in your home? What are you not happy about? And that consultation was done visually. We have some lovely drawings and paintings from it. Marisa Friel was a student who worked with us at the time on her student placement. She really helped us with the consultation phase. And as I'd mentioned earlier, NUIG, who pulled out that short report for us. It's a very important piece of information. The Child and Family Support Networks across the county, they had conducted youth support planning consultation, and they gave us access to all of that information. They also attended consultation workshops. And finally, Dr. Celia Keenahan from Keenahan Collaborative, who helped us structure it, helped us work through the process. So basically, guys, thank you very much for your help and support developing the plan, and I look forward to working with you to implement it and beyond 2023. Thank you.